Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your other Shorty. We're going to look at a comic book called Sleep today. And as I mentioned on social media, I did a bit of a punt on this one. I don't really know much about the creator. Turns out he's worked with Alan Moore, though, and I'm kind of surprised I didn't know this, but it turns out one of the things he's done with him is top 10. And one of my best friends in the world, huge Alan Moore fan, when I asked if I should read it, went, nah. And I don't want that to feel like I'm going to judge it harshly as a result of it. I didn't know that this guy was involved in that at all, and when I read it, and I'm going to take this purely as it stands, I just find it entertaining. The guy who created it is Xander Cannon. The name, I'll say, didn't mean anything to me, but I think it was the cover of this one which made it jump out to me. There's something about that black-white grayscale kind of thing with the deep reds on it really appealed to me. And the artwork throughout actually does something similar. It is worth talking about the artwork to begin with, because it's not something which I'd say I'd recommend somebody based on the artwork. This is not like a Daniel Warren Johnson or Hayden Sherman or something like that, where it's absolutely blown my mind. It's absolute mastery of form and dynamic artwork, but it is absolutely brilliant in its own way. First off, when I opened it up, the inside cover, the title page as it were, has this rather wonderful little map of what I imagine would have been the city where this story is set in, and I instantly thought, this is beautiful. It is simple, it is direct, it does everything it needs to, it kind of makes sense in the way that small cities or small towns would do. I recognised certain building types straight away, knew what they were, very good like visual coding, and as I was reading the book, something occurred to me, and I had to flick back to this and to go, oh wait, there was a visual bit of storytelling integral to this on that title page bit of artwork. The kind of thing most people would probably just glance over and move on from, and the moment I realised that was going on, I was like, right, this is somebody who does care about form. Not necessarily in the way I would like go nuts over. We're not talking playing around with 9-panel pages or dynamic motion capture over multiple panels, but there is a control of form which I still really like. It is pretty much all grayscale, and although it's computer coloured, it doesn't look too flat. It's down to two reasons. Number one, he has a clear understanding of light and shadow. He plays with light source positioning quite effectively to really get some depth of shadow it needs to. But also, there is some actual cross-hatching done, so it's not relying just on the computer gradiated colours, or shading, should I say. It actually does show that he's put some proper effort into manually doing this, even though it is computerised artwork. It's brilliantly done. There's also, because of the little thing I noticed, I was paying attention to a few things. I think everyone will do this when they read it. There is very, very sparse use of the colour red. And it's not just down to the kind of standard, although Miller plays around with it a little bit, just the use of it in terms of blood. It actually plays into a few different moments of storytelling and world building, which I found really quite effective. It's the kind of thing that makes me really happy with how it's been done to start with, but also I want to carry on reading it to see how it progresses. I'd love to see the title pages for the next few issues to see if there's more little clues being dropped in, like extra bits each issue, building up an additional story as well as the actual story that's happening. That is really good visual storytelling. In terms of actual storytelling, it's absolutely brilliant. It is a mystery, which means an awful lot of what I like about it is not what's actually on the page. And usually that's the kind of thing I don't like talking about in a review. I don't like being like, oh, well, wouldn't it be good if this? What if this happened? Wouldn't that be an amazing idea to imagine it coming to life? In this particular case, what we simply have is the story deliberately missing bits, because that's how you have to engage with a mystery. Now, don't get me wrong, I quite like whodunits to a certain degree. I'm not the biggest fan of them. There's so much stand out. Like, I'm really enjoying Poker Face at the moment. But that is a TV show where they literally show you a murder, and then you get to see how the main character figures out who committed the murder. Very clever storytelling. In this case, not reading like a whodunit. There is something more eldritch, I think, going on here. Although I think that might just be the way he's leading me to think. There's some use of symbolism and, again, coloration coming into it, which makes me think there's more going on beneath the surface of the story we're being told. But because it's a mystery, that is me just making a supposition. Might not be true, it might go completely different routes, but I'm kind of in on it, so why not? Like, just explore the ideas your mind gives you based on what you've been presented with. There's also some fantastic characterization. I'm going to focus on, like, the main, well, not the main, not our narrator type character, but his friend who's come back into town after a long visit. And it's really interesting to see this character, because we first meet him in a church when he comes on from backstage and there's a little indie rock Christian music kind of intro. And it's weird for me personally because I'm seeing an awful lot of very, like, good representation of Christianity in this one, and I'm like, well, I'm sure none of them have ever judged anyone because of the colour of their skin, or their ethnic background, or their sexuality, or their gender, or anything like that. They're all the loveliest Christians in the world. But it is a nice setting because it kind of paints him as being, in this world that we're given, one of the good guys. But then we see, as he's interacting with the rest of the world, different people have different opinions of him based on an awful lot of history. Stuff we don't know about yet. And again, that leans into the mystery of it. Things started happening when this character appeared. Is he involved in the mystery? And if so, how and why? All these things that left us to guess after issue 1. And I've got to say, it leaves it captivating. I do want to know what happens next, which is kind of all you need to do, and it's done it well. So yeah, 2 thumbs up here. That's all for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.